Kathy, could you call the roll?
Blakely. Jackson. Hodge.
Here.
Innisado. Here. Locke.
Here.
Stoops.
Here.
Demo.
Here. Jason, could you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first item tonight is the approval of our agenda. Dr. Hitchens, are there any changes to tonight's posted agenda? There are not. Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Hodge, second by Stoops. Kathy, would you call the roll? Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to all in favor say aye.
Do a consensus.
Yes, we're going to do a consensus. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion passes. No agenda approved. Apparently I'm not focused. Next, we're going to move on to public comments. If anyone wishes to address the board this evening under public comments, please see our recording secretary, Kathy Scafidi. She'll give you a pink form that has our board policy for addressing the board. Please put your full name and address on the form, as we are required by state law to keep a detailed set of minutes for our meetings. If you prefer to provide your comments in written form, the entire board will see. There's a blue form that Kathy can give you. When you address the Board of Education or Administration will not enter into dialogue. This doesn't mean we don't take your issues seriously. If you have unanswered questions, a board member or an administrator will get back to you regarding your matter at a later date. If you have any props or visual aids that you wish to use to address the board, please have those reviewed by Dr. Hitchens, our board elected secretary, prior to your presentation. And we ask that everyone who addresses the board please come to the table so we can hear you. Do we have anyone to address the board tonight?
Leo Bland.
Join us here, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. Should I stand and sit?
You may sit.
Great. Good evening. My name is Leo Bland, and I am the parent of a new kindergartner attending Hooverwood in the fall. I called the school district trying to figure out where my son's bus stop would be for him to be picked up to attend school, only to find out that, according to the transportation department, I spoke with Lynn Rule, and she let me know that where our house is located is within 1.5 miles of Hooverwood and would not qualify for free busing. She did double check that, called Illinois Central Busing, and they verified that according to their records, they showed that our house is located 1.3 miles driving distance from the school. Based on this, I personally walked the route, used a program that you can all download on your smartphone called Endomondo. Using this mapping program in the safest route possible by using sidewalks, crosswalks, and more importantly, crossing a very busy intersection of Redant and Geese, or Geis, depending on how you want to pronounce it. The actual walking distance is 1.7 miles and took me as an adult 27.5, almost 28 minutes to walk that distance. My biggest concern is the safety for my 5.5-year-old son. It's a long distance for a child to walk unaccompanied to school, but it also involves crossing one of the busiest residential streets in Batavia. I went a step further and contacted the police department, and they in turn referred me to the City of Batavia Engineering Department, who told me that there was a study done on Redant approximately 5 years ago measuring the traffic volume for Redant. In either direction on Redant, during non-peak times, which does not involve the school, anywhere from 1,600 to 2,117 cars travel up and down Redant throughout the day. The other thing that is also factored in is where that intersection is approximately 1/4 mile away from Rotolo Middle School, and that doesn't also factor in the traffic that, quite frankly, goes down Redant to go to Marmion Academy. I asked this particular gentleman, Mr. Kennedy, at the City Engineering Department, if he felt that intersection was safe. There is no crossing guard, and as a lifelong resident, Mr. Kennedy told me he grew up on Redant, and he has a frame of reference and said he did not feel that that was a safe intersection for a 5.5-year-old child to be crossing. At that point in time, I contacted Lynn Rule with the Transportation Department. She let me know that a bus does come through our neighborhood, and that a bus stop is approximately 4 houses away from my residence. So the nice thing about it is where we live is actually on the way to Hooverwood, and would be very easy for my child to get picked up on the way to Hooverwood by that particular bus. I know safety is a priority, and I know that if this was your child, you would want him or her to be picked up by the bus rather than be expected to walk approximately 3.5 miles every day, unaccompanied, crossing a busy intersection. Thank you for your consideration. Thank you.
Next is Lori Steinis. Sorry if I got the name wrong.
It's perfect.
Hello. Hi.
Okay. I recently attended a principal chat at HC Storm Elementary on July 15th, along with 32 other parents, to discuss, along with Principal Tim McDermott, to discuss some changes that are being made at our school this year, specifically regarding our art and music programs, which due to some additional programs that our school is hosting, we have lost our dedicated art room and our dedicated music room for these programs, and our students will now be taught these specials, this curriculum on a cart in their home classrooms, which I feel is an inferior method of delivering this instruction. No other school in Batavia, no other elementary school in Batavia has their specials delivered in this way. They have dedicated classrooms with, with the children leaving their home classroom to go attend these specials. So I would reluctantly, sadly, and disappointedly accept these changes for this year, but I want to go on record as making a request for the board and the district to start considering and start a process so that these changes are not long-term at our school, because it creates inequity for our students, and I expect more from this school district. Thank you.
Anna Rudek.
Good evening. Like Lori, I'm an HC Storm parent to 2 boys, and I would likewise want to bring to your attention some of the issues that Storm is facing in the coming academic year. Due to overcrowding, as the result of hosting these special programs, despite having the least number of classrooms of any elementary school in the district, our students are getting an inequitable specials program. The National Endowment for the Arts conducted a massive longitudinal study that has shown that the arts, and particularly immersion in the arts, has long-term consequences for the children's academic achievement, both in terms of their test scores on standardized tests, as well as their critical thinking skills that are going to help them moving forward into college and into the real world. These skills are skills that build over time. The transfer effects are cumulative, so even 1 year of these diminished immersions has an effect, a long-term measurable effect on our children. We would just like the opportunity to discuss alternatives to the CART with board members. We had requested this opportunity at the last parent chat, and we were generously told that Dr. Hitchens and Dr. Newkirk would meet with us individually. And while we appreciate that very much, we feel like it would be a better opportunity to work collaboratively with the district if parents were allowed to meet as a group with the decision makers, so that there is less miscommunication. Part of the reason that I believe Storm parents feel frustrated beyond just the inequity of the CART situation is the way that this information has been doled out to us piecemeal and through back channels. And so I feel that an opportunity to meet as a group with the decision makers would help us all get on the same page so that we can work together to have a better future year beyond next year for our children. Thank you.
Ellen Knott.
Good evening. Like Lori and Anna, I am also an HC Storm parent. When our children were young, my husband and I decided to move to Batavia because of the strong community feeling and the reputation of the school district. It was icing on the cake when the home we found in Batavia was in the HC Storm district, as we had friends whose children were going to that school already. We moved in, and 1 month later, my oldest went into kindergarten. Fast forward to today, and that kindergartner is now a freshman at BHS. Our community and school district has exceeded our expectations here in Batavia. So I have to admit that I was caught off guard when I learned of the overcrowding issues at HC Storm. I never anticipated that a community as affluent as ours would have this kind of issue in its school district. Art and music classes taught from carts. Children as young as 6 being in their classrooms for the entire day except for lunch and recess. Permanent walls built in open space so children have even less room to move around when they are let out of their classroom. I and several other parents are wondering what happened to result in this overcrowding, and why isn't it happening at any other elementary school in the district? We parents have been working hard to understand what happened. We've asked questions and attended principal chats. At the second principal chat last week, attended by over 30 parents, there was consensus in the room that there were questions regarding the overcrowding that couldn't be answered by Mr. McDermott because certain decisions that contribute to the changes at Storm were made at a higher level, such as the STAR program and the Park District Kindergarten Enrichment Program. As a result, the group of parents who attended that meeting requested that there be a forum with Dr. Hitchens and Dr. Newkirk. Mr. McDermott said he would communicate our request. Our request to meet as a group with Dr. Hitchens and Dr. Newkirk has been denied. Instead, they have communicated that they are willing to meet with us as individuals. They may feel that individual attention is better customer service than to meet with us as a group. However, we feel that it will be more productive for everyone to be on the same page with the decision makers regarding the overcrowding at HC Storm. Now I'm going off script. It's difficult to schedule a meeting. That takes time. You schedule the meeting with the decision maker, and you find out from the decision maker that it's another decision maker that you need to talk to. You talk to that decision maker, and you find out that there's other questions you have that are for a different decision maker, or maybe the one that you met with the week before. It gets very time consuming to get all of the information together to understand what is happening at our school. And it gets so tiresome to the point that sometimes I wonder if it's even worth it to continue with the quest of understanding what's happening at HC Storm. But it is worth it because we parents have not been assured that these changes at HC Storm will be limited to 1 year. To be clear, we are unhappy that these overcrowding issues are happening this year. However, we feel that there is enough time now to ensure that these changes will not continue for the 2014-2015 school year. Thank you.
I don't believe any of our representatives for our partners in education are here tonight. I know Tony Millay is out of town. Joe Fricaro here to speak tonight? No. Right, item 4 is our consent agenda. The consent agenda is a method of streamlining our meetings by taking one vote on a number of routine personnel and business items. Each of the items is detailed in the agenda and has been appropriately posted in the board packet. And Mr. Inglesi, will you read the consent agenda tonight?
I'd be happy to. On the consent agenda this evening, item 4.1 is approval of minutes for the dates of May 28th, June and June 25th, regular and special meetings of the board. Item 4.2 is approval of personnel. It includes employment administrative, employment certified, increase in contract certified, retirement certified, employment classified, decrease in contract classified, and resignation classified for all the individuals listed therein. Item 4.3 is approval of routine financial items. It includes net payrolls and a complete listing of bills in a total amount of $2,075,797.30. Item 4.4 is the treasurer's report and includes the revenue, expenditure, fund balance, and investment summaries for the month of June 2013. Item 4.5 is destruction of audio recordings. The audio recordings listed in that section have exceeded their 18-month retention period. Item 4.6 are FOIA requests. There are a number of FOIA requests that were received in the month of June from individuals including Ellen Knauts, Jesse Baker, Ellen Knauts, Patty Lopasansky, Susan Sarkoskis, and Danielle Heaps. Item 4.7 is approval of disposal of surplus property. It includes over 1,100 textbooks dating as far back as 1966 for disposal. Item 4.8, approval of J.B. Nelson lighting, and that is in the total amount of $134,881. And that is the consent agenda for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Iglesias. Are there any items on the consent agenda for removal or clarification tonight? No? Then do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? So moved by Locke, second by Impastato. Kathy, could you call the roll?
Hodge.
Yes.
Impastato.
Yes.
Locke.
Yes.
Stoops.
Yes.
Dremmel.
Yes. We have some of our new administrators in the audience tonight, so Dr. Hitchens was just going to take a moment to recognize them so we could all put some faces with some names.
Sure. If you have the packet in front of you, you would see Lindsay Janata, who will be the Assistant Director for Finance, working with...
Let's give her a round of applause.
And our new District Energy Manager, Rob Schmidt, is back there as well. Anybody else? That's all I saw. Any other news?
Is this here?
Well, welcome. That's excellent. Thank you. We have 2 items for action under item 5 tonight. Dr. Mott?
Yeah, I'll do a quick intro.
Thank you.
The plan for the Batavia High School athletic fields redevelopment. As we discussed in June, we've gone through a long process, a collaborative process of bringing together lots of people throughout the community to give us input on what the vision and the plan for our outdoor facilities at Batavia High School should look like. Mr. Pat Brown, our Director of Buildings and Grounds, led the process. And when the new board changed over, we wanted to slow down and bring that back to you in June. Since then, he's had the plan posted on the website and tried to solicit even more feedback. I believe at your tables you've got a summary of the responses you received, but I'd like to ask him to come up and speak through any last-minute items, and then I believe you're asking for your approval of the plan.
Good evening, everyone. That was a great summary by Dr. Mond. There really is not much more to say other than what was in the board report. The responses appeared to be favorable. We received over 50 responses to the survey being posted. Some 42 of them were in favor of moving forward with the plan as proposed. I'm not sure what other feedback you have received as a board, but that has been the only feedback that I've received so far. Is through that website. I do have those, as Dr. Meyer mentioned, sitting at your spots, so you can see what the comments were. I will continue to review those on my end, just to make sure that we've addressed everything in there as far as any other concerns might be for some of the questions, I guess, that came up, and I'll make sure we get responses back. But I would, at this time, I guess, turn it back to you and see if there's been any other conversation or questions that you have of me, and look for a vote for consent.
Did anyone have any questions for Pat tonight? Dr. Rod, do you have the motion? I actually don't have it on my piece of paper in front of me. I apologize.
Let me go back up to the, sorry, I had already. We recommend the Board of Education adopt the BHS athletic field plans dated January 7th as the future vision for the BHS campus, and direct administration to fold these needs into the district's comprehensive capital plan for prioritization.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the BHS athletic field plan?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Stoops, second by Impastato. Kathy, could you call the roll?
Hodge,
Yes.
Impastato,
Yes.
Locke,
Yes.
Stoops,
Yes.
Dremel.
Yes. Motion passes.
Comment. Again, just reiterating, it's just accepting a plan. It's not accepting it.
Correct.
Like we're
You are not authorizing an expenditure of funds.
Thank you very
And
much.
Yes.
A vision.
on that expenditure question, Dr. Ron, could you present the recommendation for the public display of the fiscal year 14 budget?
I certainly can. At each of your places, I laid the tentative draft of the budget for the 2013-14 school year. The front page is a summary that includes all of the funds, both operating and non. However, I'd like to focus your attention first to the second page, which gives you an operating fund summary by object. It breaks it down into the areas that people most closely look for: salaries, benefits, services, supplies, and on the revenue, gets into property taxes, general state aid. Just a large overview. The operating funds consist of the education fund, the operations and maintenance fund, transportation fund, the municipal retirement fund, and the working cash fund. We also have two non-operating funds that are not represented on this page because the operating funds are generally where we look at our solvency, whether we have a surplus or deficit. A couple of highlights in this budget that have changed. If you could go to the second page of that PDF, please. There we go. Looking up at the revenues first, the most noticeable is an almost 6% increase in property tax revenue. Though tax bills this year were relatively stable, this is the first budget where we get to book revenue from the Aurora TIF number 2 that has expired. This current budget projection estimates $80 million of new construction coming from that project in Aurora. If that holds true at our current tax rate, that would bring almost $4.7 million new dollars into the district in the 2014 calendar year. So we get to book half of that in this budget, half of it will come in the upcoming 2014-15, which will start on in October. It's not too far away. Obviously, property tax revenue increase, we've known about this back in February. The previous board saw and then approved later in March a staffing plan and a capital improvement plan that took into account those increased revenues. And you can see down in the salaries and benefits area, we've added dollars in salaries and benefits, and we've added capitalized equipment per that plan and per knowing that that revenue was on its way. Back up to revenues, the other local dollars is the expiration of the agreement we have with the City of Aurora for them to send us surplus TIF monies. Most of our revenue changes all stem from the City of Aurora's TIF number 2. They had designated $1 million as surplus that went back to the taxing bodies, of which we got about $570,000 of that. So that's now gone because the regular TIF taxes will be coming back. It comes back in the tax rolls. So that loss of other local is really the only major change there. We've held our registration fees and food revenues and things like that stable until we get final enrollments coming in later in August. General state aid, as you can see, we've held almost identically stable. We're waiting to see what happens with the poverty grant and if our low income numbers increase proportionately. So general state aid still could change a little throughout the summer, but it shouldn't be too much longer because we expect our first payment in mid-August. Other state revenues is almost entirely the transportation reimbursement claim. Not only did we have higher expenses than previously last year that we get reimbursed for in this upcoming year, but we also, the state has increased the proration that they are giving us on that reimbursement. So all in all, it lends to a large increase in transportation. This is still a conservative estimate because that claim is due on August 15th, so we don't have final claim numbers. We're still waiting for our special education mileage to come from our transportation provider. Federal revenue is the result of the sequestration. We did see a decrease in our Individual with Disabilities Education Act grant, as well as our No Child Left Behind, the Title I, Title II grants. So that's a overall summary of revenue. On the expense side, we already spoke to the increase in salaries and benefits. This reflects the increase of about 14 new staff members. 10 of those were part of the plan that we presented in March that was approved by the board. The other result was bringing back the occupational therapy and physical therapy services from Mid-Valley. So while we added 4 staff members, you also see a decrease in tuition of $300,000. So some of that is an offset. The other increase is termination benefits, as we had some retirement contracts expire. We have sick day payouts that come later in the year as per the negotiated contracts at that time. So that was another large increase. So that is a big picture, 20,000-foot summary of the big changes in our budget for next year. As you know, tonight, the only action you are taking, you are not approving any line items, you are not approving any numbers, you are simply putting this budget on display and setting the date and time of your public hearing. We have tentatively scheduled it for, or we are recommending that be September 24th in September, in conjunction with your regularly scheduled meeting, after which, during the action section of that meeting, we would ask you to adopt a final budget. As you know, and also in the board packet, we have scheduled a budget workshop for August 13th. During that time, I plan to break down each of the funds individually, talk about the different dimensions in our account codes. So when you're looking at the checks by account within the board book, some of those numbers make sense. Get into a lot more details about our negotiated agreements and how salaries and benefits work within our district, as well as the major revenue sources that go along. So that meeting is completely open to the public, so anyone that would like to come and attend and learn more about the details behind the summary pages is welcome to join us. We also have the Finance Committee meetings in August 27th and on September 24th for the board to ask more detail or receive more detail from questions that they've asked prior to the public hearing and the scheduled adoption. So I am ready to field any questions you may have after looking at this document for the first time. But hopefully we can get through most of the detail in early August at our budget workshop.
Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Mount tonight? We'll get to spend lots and lots of time on this at our next meeting.
But we have over 60 days.
Okay, if no one has any questions, then you read the motion, right?
I recommend that you place the budget, the tentative budget on public display and set the date and time of your public hearing at September 24th, 2013 at 7 p.m. here at the Rosalie M. Jones Administrative Center.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the public display and set the date for the public hearing as mentioned in our...
Second.
Moved by Locke, second by Stoops. Kathy, will you call the roll?
Hodge.
Yes.
Toscano.
Yes.
Locke.
Yes.
Stoops.
Yes.
Drummoll.
Yes. Item 6 is for discussion and information only. Dr. Hitchens, could you share that portion of our agenda with us tonight?
Definitely. This is not an action item like you mentioned. There'll be no action taken. The next item is referring to the school assignments for the board members. What we've done in the past is have board members act as liaisons. So we have 7 board members and we have 8 school buildings in the district. And so we pair up a board member with a building so that they could build some relationships with the staff, students, and parents of that building. The way that we do that is we ask, we did some assignments where you were placed in a building that wasn't your home school because we want you there acting as a in a different way other than being a parent. So you have a relationship already with your home school, and so we'll partner you up with another building. You can get to know the ins and outs of those buildings, attend some activities, have some fun, be visible, be social, develop some new relationships. The hardest building to fill was the middle school, of course, since 5 of you have students at the middle school. Greg has agreed to take that on in addition to his assignment of Louise White School. Tina will be partnered with AGS, Kathy with JVN, John Gaspar will be here any second, and he is going to be the liaison at Hoover Wood. Melanie will be at HC Storm, Sue Locke at the high school, and Jason at Grace McWayne. And so really you'll be contacted by your building administrator as a welcome, but also, feel free to attend their activities, sign up for their messenger, go on their website, see what's going on in the buildings. The more that you're around, you'll be able to develop some new relationships, and you might be the first person that somebody comes to and says, hey, what's going on with, and they might have some questions, and they would feel comfortable maybe coming to you with your questions, and you can help them navigate the process that we use to address concerns and to solve problems in the district. So what questions do you have or comments about your assignments?
I'll make one comment since I have all this experience of 2 years. Probably the most valuable role that you'll end up filling is people will start to know you. And so you're just a great tour guide or navigator for people to figure out who to talk to first, who to talk to next if they have a concern. So we're sort of like traffic managers. We're an ear to listen and a guide to help guide. Because I want to remind us, none of us have any authority whatsoever on our own. So we only have authority when we sit at a forum, at a board meeting to take action. So that's just my reminder of our role. Greg, you've probably run into the same thing where, and it's really hard not to want to solve those problems and get in there and fix everything. It's not our role. Okay? Tour guide. Big smile, hat, handshake, and a guide.
But I think it's important we have very active parents in this community, which I think is fabulous. But some parents aren't as schooled in how if they have a concern, where do they bring that? So they might get to know you and come and ask you, how do we go about talking about class size or whatever the case may be. And you can refer them to the right person or answer their questions if you know the answer. But you might just be referring to the people who might have the answers.
Hi, John.
Hey, John.
Do I have to go?
Welcome back.
I know. Okay. John, you walked in the middle of our discussion for the school assignments. Bonjour.
Bonjour. Jet lag today.
And we have you assigned at Hooverwood School. So
Thank you. I saw the email.
Okay.
All right.
So do you have questions or comments, not to put you on the spot as you just walked in?
Not on that.
Okay.
I'm fine with that.
All right.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
Okay, so there's no action to follow. It's the assignments, they're posted in the board book, and we'll get the administrators connected with you as well.
Then we will move on to comments. I'm assuming we have done from our student ambassadors because they're not here tonight.
Doesn't appear so.
Administration, anything tonight?
Yeah, there's quite a bit going on here. This is our last meeting before we have students, our last regularly scheduled meeting. We do have that workshop scheduled. We'll be talking budget, but it's our last meeting of the summer where we have no students. So it will be much more action-packed, I would say, at the August meeting, but that doesn't mean that things aren't happening very quickly behind the scenes here. We have teachers in and out all day, work groups. The Common Core math team for the elementary has been meeting all week here. They'll meet through Thursday of this week. The administrators have gone to quite a few workshops. We've had trainings on communication. The technology department and director of communication, Raquel, have put on that workshop for administrators. We have made another focus of ours to be running effective team meetings and making sure our teams are the most effective that they can be. And so, and we have 3 more days scheduled with administrators for some planning. And then they are doing so much planning to get ready for the students and teachers to return to their buildings. And we're very excited. Time is flying over this summer.
Thank you. We will move on to board member comments. Start down with Melanie. Put you on the spot.
I just want to say I look forward to working with HG Storm. I was having problems with my email and didn't get your email until about 5 minutes ago, so I apologize I have not yet responded, but I am interested in hearing your concerns and listening and being a tour guide for you. I agree that the arts are very important, so you have a sympathetic ear, rest assured.
I just wanted to welcome Robert Schmidt to his new role and also welcome Lindsay Janota into her new position as well. Look forward to being able to work with you both. And I also look forward to being the liaison at Grace McWayne School. I'm very excited about that.
I know. We'll have to do a zigzag one of these days.
Excited to be a liaison at Batavia High School. I'm looking forward to it because I've never even really gotten in there, and it should be exciting. I'm also excited to get this athletic plan going. It should be exciting to see what's going to take place. I think it's needed. Hope everyone's having a great summer.
John, John, do you want to mention anything?
I just want
Welcome
to say
back,
I'm
John.
glad, Hooverwood, I'm glad we're going back to that, be part of a school or something. I think that's always a good thing, so you don't have to run to every single one. And all the new people that started July 1st on your new roles, so I wish you guys all success and well. And I'm nothing else. I am tired.
Vacation went well.
Yes.
Anything, Greg?
I just wanted to kind of comment on the element of, I guess, the frustration that you have with being able to sit down with the board and discuss something, the folks at Hooverwood, and unfortunately some of the limitations that we face as a board with the Open Meetings Act of we don't have that privilege of just sitting down as a group. We don't really get the, technically you're supposed to be in the same room, any more than 3 of us at one particular time, to discuss anything related to school business. So it's frustrating on our end as much as it can be as frustrating on your end. But that's the way the laws are written, and I'll refrain from saying who you could thank for that, but but that's the way it is. And so, but that's why you have this forum to be able to be heard, but come to the board and be heard by, and we do listen to that, and we will, in our legal ways, discuss that in any way we can. But outside of that, I just want to welcome all the new people. I know Steve, talking to him before the meeting's been very busy with the movement of people in and out of the doors, and that's always the case in the summer. But look forward to wish everyone well, and hope everyone has a wonderful remaining summer.
Yes. I have no comments tonight. The next item on our agenda is a closed session item to discuss the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine validity. So do I have a motion to enter? Oh, I apologize. There will be no action to follow. So do I have a motion to enter into closed session? So moved by Locke, second by Stoops. Captain, will you call the roll?
Gaspar?
Yes.
Hodge?
Yes.
Toscano? Yes. Locke?
Yes.
Stoops?
Yes.
Lemall?
Yes. Thank you, everyone.